Hi guys, Tech here, and I wanted to do just a kind of a short video talking about Everywhere Delirium event and basically the two different reactions I've seen so far to it. So kind of the TLDR version is a percentage of the player base is really enjoying the league and the challenge, and the other percentage of the player base feels like they're essentially being trolled by the difficulty level. Obviously, both of these have a very valid feeling and opinion behind them. And I wanted to kind of go over some things that hopefully will make this a little more sensical for you. So as far as the group that is having more difficulty, a lot of that is probably due to mechanical knowledge of Delirium, as well as modifiers in how to properly scale damage. Damage scaling in Path of Exile and mechanical knowledge of Delirium is not something that is well articulated through the game itself. You have to find external resources to find that information, thus making it where new players they have to have either a natural curiosity or they have to seek out information proactively to get answers to these questions. And so if they're struggling, it makes it very difficult for them to kind of go forward. And maybe it's something that's very, very simple that someone who is more experienced or that does have the knowledge could answer in 5 or 10 minutes. But if we don't know why, we can't help. The other part of it, and this is just from my own personal experience, was I want to say I'm sorry because I joked in my video for the Delirium League guide that, yeah, if you have like a level 90 Brutus, Delirious Brutus, you're going to have a bad time. So I'm sorry that I cursed us with the level like 85 Delirious Brutus because a lot of people had a bad time. And I'm sorry I cursed us. But also part of that was the excitement, right? Like when you hit tab, like there's something exciting about hitting tab in this league where you hit tab and you're like, oh no, or you hit tab and they're like, okay, this is going to be easy. I can do this. And that brings a different level of excitement. The other thing that is really good about this league is inadvertently, it is teaching you racing mechanics and it is helping you get better at the game. What I mean by that, it's one thing to know how to deal with Delirium mobs at like level 90 when your character is very well geared and very well equipped to handle it. It's a completely different story at level 8. And so having to deal with flames all around Brutus while I'm playing a build that kind of wants to stay next to him was challenging in a good way, and it made me realize that I had to kind of loop around him in a giant circle and mechanically change the way I was trying to pursue him so I could succeed. And that's a good thing, right? It's good for the game to challenge you in your approach to things. It's also good for the game to teach you a racing strategy or teach you how to better optimize your playtime, because we had to just bury through the ledge, right? Not kill anything because you couldn't, essentially. But yeah, so having that difficulty makes you a better racer because you understand the mechanic, like you understand the value of just skipping the zone. Like there's a value in not killing a lot of mobs while leveling, killing just the big packs or just the blue packs. Like there is a efficient methodology to that. There's a reason the same people league after league after league are the top on the leaderboard and they're the fastest to do certain things. Like there's a reason Havoc is always up there. There's a reason Rise is up there till he dies, right? There's a reason for these things, and that's okay, right? It's okay for you to learn the mechanics and to get better at the game. Like that's what we're all here for, right? Is to play something that we enjoy. Another part of that, though, is at the same time, if it is stressful for you, don't overcomplicate your life, right? Like, it's not worth it. So if you don't enjoy the league, there's two different things you can do. So one is look at someone that really is enjoying the league, look how they leveled and replicate it, right? Quit trying to do whatever you were doing. Go look what they were doing, follow it exactly. So that's method one, which is basically teaching you to follow the meta build. The other option here is if you are someone that doesn't feel like Delirium is challenging enough, right? If you feel like it's difficult, I would suggest try playing the builds that people that are struggling are playing, because there's a reason behind that, right? There we have this meta cycle where we have these two conflicting groups, which really kind of get at odds with each other in times like this. We have the best build team or the meta team, and then we have like the non-meta or the people that are a little more outside the box. And the thing that's important to remember within Path of Exile is that both groups are vital to Path of Exile's ecosystem, right? You need meta people, because meta people typically are the people that are going to be the first one to kill the new boss, or the first one to do this. The first one to do X is normally a meta person, right? And so the non-meta people need the data from that meta person so they can extrapolate, so we can get to the crazy shenanigans that we're going to try to pull off with that boss or whatever, right? So we need meta people to discover it and explain the mechanic. That way we can go in the back end and start our tinkering minds, and we can exploit it, right? Then on the non-meta side of things, we're the ones that come up with the really crazy interaction stuff, and you find things other people don't necessarily see. And it's good because both of these things fuel how others perceive the game, and it all builds in this ecosystem, and it makes each other better, right? If it wasn't for non-meta people, we would never have things like cast when damage taken setups. We would never have things like understanding really niche tower setups for Blight. We would never have the chart for Harvest League of how to optimize your crops. Like, those things are not meta people, those are non-meta people, and they're vital to the ecosystem. I always find it sad when the two sides kind of are latching against each other, because both sides are so important and invaluable to the other side and their success. The other thing is, if there's a really easy way to figure out what's going on, and that is to try the other person's perspective. So if you are struggling, right? Stop playing what you're playing. If you're struggling, go look at someone who's having a lot of fun in Delirium, and go find what they were playing early on and play that. And just see what you think. Because mathematically, there's probably a reason they're playing that. And if you don't understand the interaction, or you don't understand why people are doing something, like if you're watching streamers and you see that they are doing something very specific time and time and time again, and you don't understand why, ask. Even if the streamer doesn't respond, normally their chat will. But that's the way you learn how to get better, is you kind of have to be proactive, because grinding your games does not do the best job at providing information to players. You kind of have to be proactive. So whether it's with me or any other streamer or content creator, either that or just on Reddit in general, if you have a question and you ask it in a polite and respectful way without demonizing anybody, I've never seen anyone in the community that is just like very anti against that. People will try to help you. They may not give you the direct answer outright. They may point you in the right direction as far as a resource that will better answer that for you. And a lot of the time, it's because the answer is very complicated. Path of Exile is not a simple game. It's a very, very complex game and has multiple layers. You need a flowchart for so many different things. Like there is a flowchart to understand how to map faster. There's a flowchart for what betrayal boss you want where. There's a flowchart for how to level your temple. There's a flowchart for all kinds of stuff. And it's okay to know that there is a resource available, and it is okay to know how to find or who to ask to get access to that resource. That's perfectly okay. There's nothing wrong with not knowing. That's not your fault. That's kind of on the developer, right? So don't take it personally if you don't understand a Delirium mod. Don't take it personally if you're really struggling and you don't understand how to scale damage. Don't take those things personally because they're very complicated. And you have to kind of know how to answer that question or how to get the information. And if you don't have access to that, you're going to have a bad time. You're going to have a lot of problems. And it's okay that you're going through those because everybody that's playing the game has. Everybody has. Everybody has had knowledge gaps. Everybody has had struggles. And it's okay to ask for help. And even if you're not playing something that like I created, if you need help, ask me. I'll help you. I'll normally point you in the right direction. I probably won't spoon feed you the answer, but I'll point you in the right direction. And, and if that doesn't work, let me know and we'll try something else. It takes all types of people. We need casual people because casual people are generally the ones that have more financial backing into the game than the, top 1% of people. The top 1% of people are typically the people that are making money off the game, not putting money in the game as much. So kind of keep that in mind that we need everybody, right, for Path of Exile to be successful. And the last thing anyone wants is the game to die off from either side, because both groups help each other in such significant ways. And we often forget about that we really do need both sides. We need both groups of people. They're vitally important. Another thing to keep in mind here is we're having a lot of systematic changes because we're gearing up for PoE 2. That's kind of what started like 3.15 and why it was so difficult is like they cranked the difficulty in 3.15. And in Scourge, they still kind of cranked the difficulty with Scourge scaling as well. They just did it in a very different way, and they gave us a lot of answers when they did it the second time around compared to the first time around. So we're going to see more of these systematic changes as we get closer to PoE 2. There's going to be things that are going to be very, very struggly because they're trying to tweak systems to get them balanced in a place where the state of the game is good for the launch of PoE 2, which is on the horizon and is their main priority. The next league is not the main priority. PoE 2 is the main priority. And they are using the next league as testing grounds for PoE 2. Is that all feedback is valid, but you want to do it in a way that's constructive. And if you need help, ask for help. If you are trying to be members of the PoE community and know that nobody on either camp wants the game to fail, know that we're going to have more changes between now and launch. And I'll kind of cover some stuff that I would like to see changed in an upcoming video. I hope you had a good New Year. I hope that this is helpful, and I hope it helps you understand the drama from whatever perspective you're on, and maybe see a little bit of the other side where we can kind of come together and make this a bonding experience where instead of attacking each other, we're helping each other, because that would be fantastic all around. But anyway, you have a great one, and I hope you're enjoying Delirium everywhere.